The miners went to work, and Bill began checking and renewing turnbuckles that enabled the elevator to be raised and lowered at proper levels. The day shift ended without incident, and the last chore Bill performed was to check the oil level on the 3 motors that powered water pumps to transfer water from shaft number 4 to a holding pond on the surface behind the mine office. At precisely 4 a.m., Caleb Hicks, a foreman on the night shift working in the number 4 shaft, yelled, "Fire in the hole! Clear out for a dynamite charge!" Caleb let 1 minute pass before he lit the fuses to the 5 sticks of dynamite and darted for cover. After the explosion and the coal dust began to settle, the 16 miners, believing everything was normal, started back to work. Suddenly, an eerie, stressful noise caused them to focus their attention on the ceiling above them. A shattering noise that sounded exactly like lightning bolts echoed within the shaft as 12 huge cracks skyrocketed across the ceiling. 6 of the miners bolted toward the elevator, but they were not quick enough. The first section of the ceiling collapsed, burying them under several tons of coal. For a few seconds, groanings, screaming, and cries for help could be heard. Quickly, the remaining 10 uninjured miners, knowing that the chance of finding anyone alive was slim, began rolling and shoveling chunks of coal from the heap. The men worked rapidly, hoping to find their friends alive. At the same time, they tried to imagine what had happened to cause the ceiling of the number 4 shaft to collapse. As the shaft gradually began filling with water, the men realized that the 3 water lines running up to the surface pond behind the mine office had been severed. When the cave-in happened, the 10 shacks located near the cave entrance slipped off their foundations. The emergency whistle outside the mine office was blasting 10 times a minute. Everyone at Shantytown had been awakened when the catastrophe took place. The worst of all fears for any coal miner had happened, and everyone at Shantytown, except the small children, had experienced this before. The entire day shift crew arrived at the mine entrance. The access to the number 3 elevator was cleared on the surface, but number 1, 2, and 4 had been partially filled with coal. Iron Gut said, "Bill, go below with 14 men and see if you can reach the trapped miners." 15 miners rode the elevator over 400 feet downward before stopping at the 4th shaft. Coal from the dynamite blast had caused a large part of the floor and the number 3 shaft to collapse. Bill had no way of knowing if the entire shaft was plugged or if there were surviving miners on the other side of the coal in the number 4 shaft trying to dig their way out. While Bill's crew loaded carts of coal, they found the severed water hoses. As soon as 3 carts were loaded, Bill said, "I'll take these carts to the surface and get a few pieces of water hose and more men. Continue breaking the large chunks until I get back." When Bill reached the entrance to the mine and stepped from the elevator, a crowd of people with faces of anticipation were assembled, waiting and hoping for good news. But it was obvious that a silent, deadly pandemonium gripped them. Questions from different men, women, and children echoed from the crowd. "Did you find my daddy?" "How far down is the cave-in?" "Have you found any of the trapped miners?" "How long will it take before you rescue the miners?" Quickly, a few men rolled the 3 loaded carts of coal off the elevator and replaced them with 3 empty ones. Bill noticed miners removing coal from the other elevator shafts, but he knew it would take at least 2 weeks before they had them cleared. Bill yelled, "Hold the elevator for me until I get some supplies. Sam, get me 3 sections of water hose and 8 clamps from the storage shed." Bill went to the supervisor of the mine, who was standing next to Mort, and said, "Mr. Coleman, we took the elevator down to the exit of the 4th shaft, but the tunnel is blocked with coal. There is no way for anyone to know exactly how many tons of coal has to be moved in order to get to the trapped miners. But if we work around the clock and extract coal from one end of the shaft, and if there are surviving miners digging from the other side, we should be able to clear the coal out of the way in 3 or 4 days, providing we don't have another cave-in.